how's it going? My name's Nico, I go by COINTrick and COINTricktwitch online. If you want to see more videos like this one, please remember to like and subscribe. Hit that bell so you get notified every time I upload another one of these videos. Hey, how's it going? My name's Nico, I go by COINTrick and COINTricktwitch online. We've been doing this series of 3-part videos where we teach you guys how to make and master classic cocktails at home or at work and build up your collection, build up your bar on your own. This time we've been talking about Martini-Style cocktails. We've already done parts 1 and 2. In part 1, we showed you the simplest recipe, how to make and master that. In part 2, we showed you some extra ingredients that you can get, some substitutions you can make to make extra kinds of martinis, like the espresso martini that we have here. Now in part 3, we're gonna get weird, and I'm going to show you guys how to make a signature Martini-style cocktail, and then some advanced techniques that you can use to make sure that your drink stands out from all of the other ones. Quick note, so what exactly makes a Martini-style cocktail? A handful of things, and a couple of things are sort of up for debate, but a couple are really not. First thing, make sure you keep it to about 3 to 4 ingredients. Martinis are meant to be flexible, simple cocktails. Second, your glassware, make sure you have some sort of stemware. These are Nick and Nora glasses. Traditionally, you should use a martini glass. You can also use coupe glasses. The main difference is that a martini glass is going to have sheer edges going off the top. A coupe glass is going to be beveled up so that you have less spillage. I would recommend a coupe glass just for safety, but if all you have are martini glasses, that's fine. In fact, if all you have are red Solo cups, those will work just fine at home. How do we begin to make a signature variation on a really ubiquitous and well-known cocktail? Well, there's actually a lot of things that you can do. You can try substituting your liquor. You can try other clear liquors like tequila, rum. You could try flavored liquors. You could grab a flavored vodka. You could grab a Citron gin and try that in your lemon drop martini instead of your Citron vodka. You can get other kinds of orange liqueur. You could get Aperol, which is going to be a bittersweet orange-based Italian aperitif. You can try Cynar instead of your sweet vermouth if you're making sweet vermouth in your martini cocktails, if you're making perfect martinis. Try getting different kinds of bitters. I mentioned originally getting orange bitters or Angostura bitters. You can get Peychaud's and round out the trifecta. You can also try some really crazy stuff like celery bitters, cardamom bitters, lavender bitters, or you can use some extra syrups and cordials that maybe you've already made at home or just acquired over time. There's a lot of things that you can do to really build up your signature cocktail. Just make sure you keep it simple, 3 or 4 ingredients, and make sure that it's a flexible cocktail. Nico, how are you gonna make a signature cocktail? I'll tell you, I'll tell myself. I talk to myself a lot. But luckily, I've already made a signature Martini-style cocktail. I've made 2 that I can think of. I've made the Lullaby and the Barista Martini, and both of those are already in my book. We made the Espresso Martini already, so I kind of want to make the Barista Martini because it very much speaks to my origin as a barista before I was a bartender. So the first thing I'm gonna have to do is pull a shot of espresso again. While that is pulling an espresso shot, I am gonna grab some ice to shake up this cocktail. All right, cool. So we've pulled our shot of espresso, now we gotta decide what is our base liquor, what's gonna be our modifying liqueur. Base liquor, it's gonna be easier to stick with vodka than gin. Gin and espresso do not sound like they should go well together, so I'm gonna swap this out really quick. Cool. So we'll just be using some regular vodka. And then for our modifying liqueur, I'm gonna do a mix of a couple of different things. So, put this away. I'm gonna grab a few things that you've probably already seen in some other coffee-based cocktails. Some Baileys and Godiva chocolate liqueur. Also, I realize this is a 5th ingredient, but I'm gonna add a little bit of Liquor 43 just to give it some sweetness, some round body. This bottle of Liquor 43 was actually suggested and gifted to me by Seabug and Angry Lilith during one of our live streams, so thank you guys. If not for that, I wouldn't be using this in this cocktail, so thank you. Vodka here, we're gonna do 1.5 ounces. Toss that in there, put this back. Then we're gonna do 1/2 ounce each of all of our modifying liqueurs. All right, let's put it all together. Look at that, extra creamy. All right. Crack it open, see how it looks. Looking good. I'm gonna grab a slightly bigger glass. And then, oh yeah, look at that. All right, let's taste it, see how it tastes. So the thing that really does make this work really well, it's a phenomenal cocktail. The thing that really makes it work is actually the Godiva. That, like, dark, like, Belgian sort of like cocoa flavor, that bitterness helps smooth this out. It keeps it from being too sweet. That being said, the reason I call this the Barista Martini isn't just because I used to be a barista and because this borrows a lot from existing coffee cocktails. The reason I call it that is because this is a coffee cocktail designed for people who like lattes, not a coffee cocktail designed for people who like their coffee black. If you drink your coffee black, you're probably going to be happier drinking a regular espresso martini. Looks good, tastes good. What can we do to make sure that our drink stands out from all of the other ones? A lot of really simple things that you can do. The first thing I always recommend is change up your garnish a little bit. This is based on the espresso martini. That traditional garnish would be 3 beans of espresso. So let's see if we can find some way to jazz that up just a little bit. And it won't be sacrilegious because this is not technically an espresso martini. First thing you're going to want to do is you can take some of those espresso grinds that you have in your machine. If you have a sifter, you can use that. If you don't, you can just grind it into a cup or a spoon or something. Now you could shake this and get some of those espresso grinds to just coat the top of this and get a nice, pretty, even, peppery coat of espresso. Or you can take it a step further and you can find a stencil or make a stencil at home. The simplest thing to do, the thing that I did at my bar all of the time, is that I would either take a julep so that I had lots of like little like pips of espresso separated out, or I would take one of our bar napkins, place it over the top of the drink, covering just half. Start peppering that over. And now, instead of having that just blanket coat over the top, now you have this nice stencil with just half of the drink covered, which means if you do like the espresso bean flavor and smell there, you want that extra bitterness, you can drink on one side. If you don't, you can drink on the other side. Either way, this looks so much cooler than just having 3 espresso beans in there. So that's one thing you can do. There's a lot of different things that you can really do to make your drink stand out. This is just one of the easiest things. Another technique that you can try is you can try and do home infusions. So I mentioned before that this is a little bit better if you use vanilla vodka. If you don't have vanilla vodka, you can make your own. You can go out and get vanilla paste or vanilla beans. You can just add vanilla extract to your existing vodka. You can make that at home. If you're not doing an espresso martini and maybe you're doing a riff on a more classic, like stirred clear martini style, then you can infuse one of those ingredients. So like you can infuse your dry vermouth. You can typically, I've seen a lot of people do that with like chamomile or different kinds of teas. You can infuse your gin or your vodka. I've seen some people use like butterfly pea flower, which turns your drink blue and causes it to change color when you add acidity to it. An interesting thing that happens when you have butterfly pea flower and you add wine to it, we learned this with champagne at the bar, but when you add wine to it, it actually sometimes will turn clear instead of turning purple, which makes it super cool. A few other techniques, you could try layering. You could try layering something on top, but it's gonna have to have a different density, or it's gonna have to be very different in terms of alcohol content. But the good news is if you use something that's at least 55% alcohol by volume, if you can get it to float on top, you can light it on fire, which is super cool. But just be careful, be aware of the risks. Another thing you can do is you can try clarification, which with this would look really, really cool. The trouble here is that you can't really do a milk clarification of something that already has milk in it. So you would need to use agar-agar or gelatin or something like that to separate the solids from the liquids to turn this clear. And it's also a time-consuming process, and it's a higher skill level, higher skill threshold. If you build up to that and you want to try it at home, feel free. The last thing is making home brewed ingredients. I have espresso that I've made here, but you don't have to do that. If you're making a regular style martini, you could try making your own dry vermouth. You could try making your own cordials, your own syrups to experiment with. Let's revisit really quick. Step 1, Find a simple classic cocktail. Make and master that recipe. Learn how to do those adjustments so that you can make it just the way that you want it, or the way that your guests want it if you're doing this at work. Step 2, find those extra ingredients to make the other cocktails that are in that same style, in that same family, and don't go crazy. Don't go out and get like 24 bottles. Just get like 5 to 10 things, and you can start making a lot more cocktails. Make and master those the same way you did in step 1. Then in step 3, get crazy, get weird, get tricky, like make your own version of that classic style cocktail that you've learned and mastered in parts 1 and 2. And then use some of these extra techniques, these advanced techniques, to make sure that your drinks are memorable and they stand out from all of the other drinks. Guys, thanks so much for sticking around, showing up. I appreciate it. Thanks for all of your help and support. Hopefully I've been helpful and supportive for you all as well, since that's why we do everything that we do here. If you learned anything during this video, please like and subscribe and comment what drinks you want to learn how to make at home or at work, and I'll see you guys in the next video.